Hi, welcome to Attorney Estee channel. This is Estee Aceron Bisnar. I am licensed to practice law in California, New York, and Philippines. How to avoid denial or rejection of your N400 application for naturalization. This video will save you time and money. If your application is rejected, then you have to redo and refile, which will take hours of your time. And if your application is denied, then aside from repeating the whole process, you have to pay for another filing fee, which is not cheap at all. In fact, on July 31st, 2020, the Department of Homeland Security announced a final rule on the USCIS fee schedule, effective October 2, 2020. This means that the USCIS will increase the fees for certain petitions and applications, including the application for naturalization, the N400 form. The fee now is $640, and by October 2, 2020, the fee will be $1,160 if you're filing online and $1,170 if you're filing it by mail. So it's about $500 increase. If you are delaying the filing of your application for citizenship for no reason, you should consider applying before the September ends, especially if you're not the only one in the family who is eligible to apply. You save a lot of money. To help you out, I created this video so you'll be able to have a smooth process. But first, what are the frequently asked questions? Number one, do you need a lawyer in filing this application? The answer is no. But if you value your time or you want to avoid the RFEs or the request for evidence, or your case is quite complicated, then it is advisable to engage the services of an immigration attorney. Number two, can you pay via credit card? The answer is yes. There is a form, that is Form G1450, Authorization for Credit Card Transaction, that you need to fill out and attach to your application. Number three, can you file online? The answer is yes. You need to create your USCIS online account. So let's proceed. How to avoid denial or rejection of your N400 application. First, you make sure you are eligible. If you are not eligible, even if you get an interview and pass the civics test, English test, your application will be denied. Basic questions to ask yourself. Number one, are you at least 18 years of age? Number two, are you a permanent resident of the United States and have been issued a permanent resident card? Number three, have you been a permanent resident for 5 years or more, or 3 years or more in case you obtained your green card through marriage to a U.S. citizen? What do you usually do to check this out? Check your card. For example, this is issued 2012 and you're applying now 2020. Yes, it appears you can apply because you have been a resident for 8 years, but it is not enough. You must also be in continuous residence during those 5 years or 3 years as the case may be. This requires physical presence in the U.S. for a certain number of months to be eligible for naturalization. For example, a total of 30 months of actual physical presence in the U.S. or 18 months in case you're married to a U.S. citizen. So here, the number of days you actually stay in the U.S. will be calculated. You have to check on your passport the dates you left and entered the U.S. All trips in and outside are calculated, even weekend trips to Canada or Mexico. I will expound on this critical requirement along with the next one later. Okay, number four, during the last 5 years or 3 years in case you're married to a U.S. citizen, have you taken a trip outside the U.S. that lasted 1 year or more? Next, have you resided in the district or state in which you are applying for citizenship for the last 3 months? Okay, next question, can you read, write, and speak English? That's why there is writing and reading tests during the interview. Next is, do you know the fundamentals of U.S. history and U.S. government? Next question, are you a person of good moral character? So who have issues with this requirement? Those who have criminal records on any crime against person with intent to harm, any crime against property or the government that involves fraud or evil intent, lying to gain immigration benefits, failing to pay like court-ordered child support or alimony payments, among others. If you are a male applicant between 18 to 26 years old, did you register with the Selective Service? Then, are you willing to support the Constitution of the United States? So, the answers to these questions will affect your application. Now, let me explain further the requirement of continuous residence and physical presence in the U.S. for the required number of years. Continuous residence means that you have not been absent in the U.S. for a long period of time. If you left the U.S. for too long, you may break or interrupt your continuous residence. So, in our given example a while ago, a green card holder for 8 years but had been absent in the U.S. for so long, then there's a potential issue on continuous residence and physical presence requirement. Who usually have a problem with this requirement? Those parents who were petitioned by their children. Parents have the tendency to stay in their home country and prefer to stay longer there than here. So what they do, they spend 4 to 5 months here in the US and then 5 months outside the country, and again 2 to 3 months here in the US and another 5 months outside the US. So the question, is your parent in continuous residence in the US if he has been absent for that long period of time for the past 6 years? In this example, although your parent has been doing this for 6 years, if there is not a single absence that lasted more than 6 months and your parent was physically present in the US for a total of 30 months or more for the past 5 years, then he is eligible to apply. To summarize, check if he has been a resident for 5 years or more, and then check if no single absence that lasted more than 6 months, and then check again if his actual physical presence in the US is more than 30 months for the past 5 years. Then he is eligible to apply. But the caveat here, sometimes at the border, the officer sees this pattern and you will be asked further questions regarding your ins and outs of the country or whether you had intention of abandoning your U.S. Residency. And this will cause some delay and hassle at the airport. Now, if your absence is more than 6 months but less than 1 year, there is a presumption of abandonment. So you have to prove that you did not abandon your U.S. residency by submitting proof in your application, for example, your income tax returns during your absence, or the bank statements, or proof that your children and grandchildren are based in the U.S. or you have business or businesses here. You have car payments, car insurance during your absence, or even those letters sent by the government agencies to your address. Those can be proof that you are not abandoning your U.S. residency. So, what if you are absent for more than 1 year but have a re-entry permit for 2 years? This is the common mistake of many applicants and even some lawyers. They thought that with the re-entry permit, their residency is never interrupted. The re-entry permit only shows your intention that you are not abandoning your U.S. residency. With your re-entry permit, when you cross the border, generally, you don't have any problems entering the U.S. You are allowed to re-enter the U.S. even if apparently you stayed outside the U.S. for more than 1 year. But for naturalization purposes, the rule is different. Your absence is counted as absence. However, if you return within 2 years with that re-entry permit, the last 364 days of your time out of the country will be counted in calculating your continuous residency requirement. So if you are into this situation, you apply 4 years and 1 day rule. This means you can file for N400 application 4 years and 1 day from the time that you re-enter the U.S. using the re-entry permit. Plus, you will have to show proof that you did not abandon your residency because per records, it will show that you were absent the U.S. for more than 6 months and less than 1 year. So the same documentation, the bank statements, house rentals, or you are maintaining your house here in the U.S., your children and grandchildren are here in the U.S. You have to attach these documents to your application. Now, that you find yourself eligible, then we go to the second thing that you need to do. Make sure you completed the form properly. Correct filing location, correct filing fees, correct form version. If you are eligible, complete form N400. You can do this online or mail the completed form along with the documents by mail. Don't just copy the application of your friends. This is dangerous. For example, your friend lives in East Coast and you are here in West Coast. You have different filing locations. Or your friend is female, you are a male, and you failed to register in the selective service, then you have to submit status information letter from the selective service explaining why you did not register. Okay, also, if your friend applied months ago and you're applying now, so the fees will be different or the form is now updated. So be very, very careful. Third thing you need to do, make sure you attach supporting documentation. What are these documents? Copy of your green card, front and back, evidence of your current marital status. If divorced, then a copy of the entry of judgment regarding the dissolution of your marriage, court decree for any name change, documents showing termination of your spouse prior marriage, proof of selective service, and also your U.S. citizen spouse passport, other documentation showing that the marriage still exists, your joint income tax return, or car payments in both of your names. So this is with regards to those applicants who acquired their green card through marriage to a U.S. citizen. After the application, what will you expect? You'll be scheduled for biometrics. In this instance, you will just have to go to the application support center that is written in the notice, and they will just merely scan your fingerprints. Bring your appointment notice and your green card with you. This is very simple. Then you will be scheduled for your interview. So the fourth one that you need to do, make sure you prepare for your interview. Prepare the documents you need to take with you, the appointment notice and the permanent resident card, all passports valid and expired, state-issued identification card like your driver's license. And in some offices, they require this, and in some they don't, but to be sure, bring passport-style photographs. Plus, the originals of all those documents you attach in the application. You have to review your application, be consistent, and be honest in answering the questions. Review also for the civics test. Don't waste your time going to the interview without preparation. If you failed, you will be granted another chance for a retest between 60 to 90 days from your interview. You have to answer 6 out of 10 questions. You will be provided with a book, Learn About the United States, like this book. You can ask for this information material during your biometrics appointment. This is free. There are only 100 questions to review, and the answers is just there. You don't need to research for it. These questions are not hard. In fact, while reviewing, you will find them very interesting. I will post a video in the future for these questions and answers to help you out. Then the basic English reading and writing is quite easy for many applicants. For most of the time, English is their second language, like for Filipinos. Take note that now they are using tablets, so you will read what is written on the tablet and you will also write on the tablet. What will you expect during your interview? When you arrive, there will be a security checkpoint. You have to present your identification card and your appointment letter for the interview. Then at the customer service area, present your appointment notice. Then an officer will call you and you will be interviewed in one room. You will be placed under oath, and the officer will verify the information and determine your eligibility. So the large part of the interview is regarding the information in your application. The officer may also request to see the originals of the documents you attach, like usually your green card, passports, and travel document. Then the civic test and reading writing test. If everything goes well, then you will be scheduled for your oath taking. Some offices conduct their oath taking ceremony right after the interview, and others you will have to wait for your schedule. So That's it, and congratulations in advance. If you find this video helpful, please click the like button and feel free to share this video to your friends who need this information. And I hope you don't forget to subscribe now. Thank you. Till my next video. Bye.